What's up guys, and welcome back to another video. Today we are putting in a new OEM turbo on my 335i. This job shouldn't be too in-depth. I have experience working on these cars, and if you're watching this, I guarantee you have the knowledge to do this yourself and save the shop labor cost. People are quoting over $1,000 to do this job. It should not take you less than a day if nothing goes wrong. Now, the OEM turbo that I purchased off Facebook Marketplace for $150 came with 60,000 miles. Now, currently this car has a pure stage 2 with 10,000 miles, and I decided to go back to OEM just to gain more reliability and knowing that I did the work myself on the car, because this car, previously, the previous owner put the pure stage 2. Now, with the OEM turbo that I purchased, I decided to rebuild it just so it's literally basically brand new. It's going to make this car much more reliable, give me no problems in the future. I've literally done every single other preventative maintenance thing on this car besides turbo work. And yeah, so right now the first steps are going to be taking off the underbelly, then taking off the intake. Anything that's in the way, I'm going to be taking off the fender liner also, so I have more space to work with. And hopefully today we'll take off the water pump and the thermostat. I don't have that much time today because I'll continue tomorrow. But yeah, let's get to it. Now, I'm not going to show every single thing, like taking off the underbelly, because I'm assuming if you're watching this video, you have the knowledge to work on your turbo yourself. And you've probably taken off your underbelly multiple times and done your water pump already. So, I'll update you guys in a few when I have stuff off. Alright, it's been about 20 minutes. I got all the paneling of the bottom and fender line out. I got the sway bar out. And now I'm working on the intake piping, and I also have the radiator out. Pretty easy so far. Next step after we do the intake is we're going to take off the expansion tank, and then I'm going to start taking off the downpipe. Alright, about 20 minutes later, we got the outlet and the inlet out. Got the expansion tank out, and this is how it looks right now. We also took off the water pump hose. So while I was draining, I took off the turbo inlet and the outlet. And this is how it looks right now. Very good progress so far. Nothing has given me a major problem, or actually no problems at all, which is surprisingly. Like, usually that water pump bolt at the very top is very tedious to get. I got it in literally 2 minutes. So yeah, let's continue taking off this. And then once this is like done dripping down, I'll go ahead and start taking the downpipe off. We got the water pump off, and now the thermostat hoses right here are giving me like trouble getting out. So I'm just gonna leave them and push the thermostat to the side over here, just because I don't want to break anything. And the thermostat shouldn't be that much in the way as much as the water pump was. So the coolant now finished draining. Now I think I'm gonna work on getting the downpipe out. It's only been an hour and a half so far, and I'm making good progress. Alright, after an hour or so, we finally got the downpipe off. Now, I do advise taking apart the whole exhaust from underneath, like taking it off the hanger so it could hang off, just so you have space to get to the top bolt on the downpipe. This one right here, that one was super annoying to get, but we finally got it out. We'll continue tomorrow. Literally, all I have to do is take off this heat shield and unbolt the turbo and take off the engine mount, and then we should be good.
The next day.
Today, we're going to be replacing and rebuilding the wastegate flapper and putting in a new center housing rotating assembly. Now, you don't see many of these things done, so I decided to do my own DIY. And it was not too hard. I got this turbo out of Facebook Marketplace for a good price, and then I bought a wastegate flapper rebuild kit. This is to show you guys that a turbo swap and a rebuild could be cheap and easy, and you don't need to pay that shop labor bill. Now, I went ahead and purchased a wastegate flapper rebuild kit. Essentially, what we have to do is grind away. You could already see I started grinding away the flapper, and then we have to press the bushing out, and then once we put the new one back in, we have to weld it in place. And then for the center housing rotating assembly, all we have to do is put in the new one with the O-ring, and then these bolts secure it. I went ahead and purchased a little upgraded one. It has larger fins, and compared to the OEM 6 fins on the turbo, this one has 9. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so first you guys can see we are grinding away at the wastegate flapper itself. You have to grind this away until it comes off. Now this part can be tricky. You have to be careful not to actually cut the turbo itself. If you do a little bit, it's fine. Now once you get the flapper cut, you're going to have the bearing exposed. On other BMW turbos, this bearing is welded in, but this one was only pinched in, and you'd have to just push it out with a hammer or a press. A press is more preferable because it's easier, but we just hammer it out. And then one thing you guys are going to need is an engine support bar. I just went to Harbor Freight and grabbed it, because when you take off the engine mount, you need the engine to be hanging and you're going to be able to adjust it. You can see here the little pinch that the bearing has that's held in place. You could unpinch it, and then once you put the new bearing, just pinch it back together. And then while my dad was getting the bearing out, I went ahead and took off the engine support brace and the engine mount to make everything easier and to get the turbo out. And now here you could see we got the old bearing out and the new bearing in. I suggest using a press as it is easier, but I don't have a press, so we had to hammer it in carefully. Now it was finally time to remove the pure stage 2. You can see all the room we have now that we removed the engine support brace and the engine mount. With the turbo removed, we can inspect it and compare the differences between the pure stage 2 and the OEM turbo. You could see the pure stage 2 is a bigger housing, and just look at all the space the engine has with no turbo. It's crazy. Now it was time to weld the wastegate flapper in place and put the center housing rotate assembly on the turbine housing. It's held in with 4 bolts and an O-ring. Make sure you don't pinch the O-ring. I pinched the one that came with the CHRA, so I had to reuse the OEM one. I had to use a rubber mallet to make sure it was sealing properly and sealing well. And then once I confirmed that everything was even, I tie in all the bolts all the way. Now once you have everything secure, you want to go ahead and put the whole turbo back together and connect it to the exhaust manifold. You can see it now has 9 blades. These blades are also longer, so they could induce more air compared to the OEM one that only has 6 blades, which are shorter. And now I'm verifying that it spins freely. At first it didn't, because I had to make sure the turbo was sealing properly, and it wasn't at first. There's a little knob on the housing itself that should line up with the exhaust manifold. You then want to weld your wastegate flapper and set your wastegate using a vacuum hose. And then now it's time to install everything back together.
A few moments later.
Alright, as you can see, we have everything on the car again. I went ahead and purchased a DO88 inlet just because the old plastic one was leaking a little bit, and I also purchased a DO88 outlet. It's not in right now because it doesn't fit as of the moment. I have to modify a few things. And I used to have like a Burger Motorsports intake here, but with the DO88 inlet, since they're both aftermarket brands, they didn't fit together, so I went ahead and just picked up a OEM intake to try on for now. And so yeah, let's go ahead and start the car. Now the car does sound healthy, and I'm just gonna let it run for a few minutes while I put the fender liner back on but overall, it sounds good. So let's go ahead and put the fender liner on and put the wheel back on. Okay everyone, so it's been about a month after installing the new turbo, and the car has been running really good. No issues whatsoever. All I have is a small boost leak at the turbo outlet. Now the DO88 outlet did not work. It did not fit with my setup. It didn't fit with the VRSF intercooler, so I just had to remove it, and now I just have to fix that tiny little boost leak. It's only like a few PSI. A check engine light only comes on when I do a hard pull, but other than that, the car has been working phenomenal. Now, on my previous setup, I had an issue where I wasn't making any boost at all. So when I took apart this turbo, I found that the downpipe was very loose. Literally, like when I went to go take off the downpipe to remove the old turbo, it was loose to the point where I could shake the V-band clamp and twist it so I could position it better to take off the downpipe. So I'm assuming since no exhaust pressure was barely being built, I wasn't making that much boost anyways. Now let's open it up and I'll show you guys how the engine bay looks. So we have the DO88 inlet into the stock turbo outlet into my new upgraded OEM turbo. It's kind of like a stage 1 turbo since it does have an upgraded center housing realty assembly. I had to go with the old OEM intake because before I had a Burger Motorsports intake and it would not connect right here since there wasn't like a plastic piece, since it would be silicone on silicone or silicone on a plastic piece that wouldn't fit. So we went ahead and went with the OEM. I mean, it's technically a cold air intake since it just puts air through here. And with the Burger Motorsports, it was just getting hot air. So I mean, this is better performance wise, but I don't get as much turbo whistle at all. It keeps the car just having straight exhaust sound. I mean, I really, when you rev the car or like step on it, I could get another Burger Motorsports intake and try to make it fit, but I sold it because I wanted the car to run, so I had to just purchase the OEM intake. So right now, the car does not make that much turbo noise, like turbo noise itself. It's just mainly exhaust right now because the OEM intake box does restrict a lot of the noise. So basically, this is version 2 of the car, basically done. We rebuilt the entire turbo. Now basically so many things on the engine bay are touched and redone completely. The car only has, it's about to reach 59,000 miles, and I've done a good amount of maintenance. Literally when I got the car, I dropped 2,000 on just preventative maintenance. No issues. I bought this car in January. It is now August. No issues whatsoever. It has given me a lot of knowledge. More recently, I also just installed new fog lights because my old ones were ugly. And along with that, version 2 is like basically completely done. The only thing I might do is like wrap the car in at the end of December because I want to put this car into Beamer Invasion at some point next year when it happens. And I think a color change, maybe blue, would look really good on this car. And with that, version 2, we installed Alibaba GAX headlights. A lot of people hate on them, but I think they look really good. Let's see if I could lock the car real quick. I think they look really good, and they match the E92 really good with the body lines and everything. But you already know there's purists that are going to have a heart attack as soon as they see, oh my god, not Angel Eyes, you changed to Angel Eyes, how dare you. But then again, not your car, I don't care. My car, I do whatever I want. But yeah, I love the look right now. Alibaba headlights, we got a paint matched front lip. We got Alibaba 359M rep wheels. They're 19-inch. And I also installed Bilston B14 coilovers. A whole kit. Refreshed the whole suspension, coilover wise, new strut mounts and everything. I also put a 034 Motorsports sway bar, or 034 Motorsports sway bar end links. OEM sway bar, I'm planning to change that soon. And we also installed a carbon fiber trunk. This was also from Alibaba. It came out really good. Now the only thing is I had to like make my own holes for like the latch and everything, so I kind of did f it up, so I have to adjust it a little more because you can see that it is not lined up correctly, and I need to I need to sand this taillight. I got new taillights at home that I need to sand and polish because this one is looking crusty. Overall, pretty good investment. This thing looks pretty gnarly. All I need right now that I think like cosmetic wise I should do is a more aggressive diffuser along with my 4-inch HKS muffler. So right now the car is on just a VRS downpipe into a Y pipe, and then I have just an eBay resonator that I got from eBay, and then I bought the HKS muffler from eBay as well. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is going to wrap up this episode. I hope you enjoyed the turbo we build, and I hope you guys get the courage to do it yourself if you want to save some money. It's kind of complicated if you don't know what you're doing, but I am mechanically inclined. I feel like it just took a lot of patience and courage to do that whole swap myself. So that is going to conclude the episode. I'll see you guys later. Bye bye.